Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and this is the slot where I'd normally go over my review of the previous day's Prime Minister's questions or evasions or lies, whatever I decide to call them. However, it's the Easter recess and Parliament isn't sitting. But as luck would have it, we can still talk about PMQs because Keir Starmer has just said that he will be using the B word in upcoming PMQs over the coming months. I'm sure it won't mean what some are hoping it means, but will Labour really raise the tempo on Brexit before long? But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So I'm going to have to split this up into two sections really, because Brexit and Labour are a highly complex issue. And I don't want to cover a lot of the old ground on the explanations and the strategy that Labour have, but I do have to be very conscious that many people watching this won't have seen the videos I've done, so won't necessarily know the details. So I'm going to try and be as concise as I can. Apologies if something doesn't necessarily seem like it's fully explained. So I'm going to go on a preamble to cover the main issues, then get into this confirmation from Keir Starmer that Brexit will be a word coming to PMQs near you in the future. But the issue we have right now is that Brexit is crushing lots of areas of British life. It is hammering in our economy. Well, you know, the whole world is suffering. It's COVID, say the Brexiteers. Not true. Other comparable economies have all bounced back. They've recovered from the economic impacts of COVID. Well, Boris Johnson said that we have as well. Yeah, he lied. We can see from the data we are lagging well behind still. Well, Brexit wasn't just about economics, they then say. So what was it about then, eh? Oh, it's our place in the world stage, you know, global Britain and all that. This has been somewhat diminished, hasn't it? The President of the United States keeps talking about the important partnership with the EU. He's done it a lot. We're not mentioned at all. We're not even included in meetings, except those that we have a right to attend as members of other groups. For example, the last G7 meet, I mean, we hosted that, but we were there. But then what happened straight after the G7 meeting? President Biden went to meet with EU leaders on the continent. We weren't invited. More recently, he met with EU leaders in a security meeting regarding the Ukraine crisis. Again, Boris Johnson was not invited. Even after he said he wouldn't mind being invited, he tried to hint that he wanted to be invited. No. He attended the NATO meeting as a member, but not the meeting that was arranged separately. On matters of vital geopolitical importance to the UK has no seat at the table. Well, freedoms, it's about freedoms then. What freedom? What freedom do we have that we didn't before? We've lost freedoms. We can't now just pop along to other European countries, not even for a visit, let alone to settle or work there. We can't even post a box of biscuits to our auntie in Spain without masses of red tape and maybe import duties for dear old auntie to maybe pay at the other end. As for employment benefits, someone with an Irish passport has got more rights in Britain than someone with a British passport. You tell me how that's freedom. It's all a mess, right old mess. We thought Labour would gleefully point this out on a weekly basis with Keir Starmer as leader. He didn't, became politically problematic. But it's not for the reasons that some suppose. Like, I don't want to labour the point, if you'll pardon the pun, but it's not because he fears splits in the party. It's not because Alexit is in the party. It should be obvious now that he is strong enough to stand up to factions within the party that work against the party being electable. It might be a little because of fears of turning off swing voters in the Red Wall. That's clearly weighing on them because it's vital he wins the vast majority of those seats back. But it's not a pitch to Brexit supporters in those seats either. I said it with Corbyn, I'll say it again with Starmer. You cannot persuade actual Brexit supporters to support a Brexit-light party. Why would a Brexit supporter vote for the party that's offering Brexit but a bit weaker when they get the works that they think's a great idea with the Conservatives? But it's not like he could just go completely the other way either. He can't promise to rejoin the EU because it's impossible to do it quickly. In fact, he could win the next election and he could be Prime Minister, the most popular Prime Minister we've ever had, which I don't think he will be, but he could be for a full decade before leaving on a high and still not get us back in the EU. Leaving is much easier than joining, and it took us 5 years to leave. So what are Labour promising to do? Well, they've promised closer alignment with the EU, including veterinary deals. That's an essential first step towards rejoining anyway. So I've said it before, I'll take that. They've ruled out freedom of movement, which rules out entry into the single market. I was disappointed with that. I don't deny maybe there's some strategy there, but I don't see it. But that would have been a later step anyway, so I don't have to sweat about it just yet. So I was less bothered about that. In addition, whatever policies they announce now, nothing is set in stone until the manifesto is written. And that doesn't get published until the general election campaign. Even then, it's a commitment for a single parliament. Doesn't stop them aligning in the first parliament and then going further for the second. Also bear in mind that Labour are stunningly unlikely to win an overall majority. They are almost certainly going to need the help of other parties to govern, whether it be a coalition or, much more likely, an alliance. That means bits of their manifesto will have to be compromised to meet halfway with those supporting parties. People need to bear that in mind. Labour have also called for a comprehensive security deal with the EU. That will help not only keep us safer, obviously, but build bridges with the EU. Because for all the comments I will get, and I see around social media from people in Britain saying, we must join ASAP, we have to stop this madness now. I also get comments from those in the EU saying, we're not right welcome at the moment. We have to build bridges before going back. It's not just a case of persuading British citizens, but EU citizens as well. But could the process be speeded up if Labour would just loudly and consistently point out the many failures of the extreme Tory Brexit? Even if they don't want to just attack Brexit as a concept, can they at least not attack the particular implementation of Brexit? Well, the thing is, Labour shadow ministers have spent a lot of time at the dispatch box attacking Brexit. It's just that Starmer, in the crucible of PMQs, has not. This has meant that publicly, Labour have seemed somewhat quiet on the issue, almost silent in fact. What the Shadow Energy Secretary says in a parliamentary debate doesn't tend to meet the headlines. What the Leader of the Opposition says in the fire pit of PMQs often does. Would public opinion shift faster if Labour led on it? Lead the way! I can't say for certain, but I doubt it. There are two things to consider here. First of all, the bulk of the mainstream media adopts the government's line on Brexit. They would not give a fair platform to Labour's angle. Second, you'd be trying to suggest that the public would see Brexit for the disaster that it is, despite what the government say and despite what the media say, if Labour just explained it to them. Given that Labour's powers of persuasion haven't been good enough to win a general election for 17 years now, I'm going to suggest that they're not really proven to be all that persuasive. However, another interesting development, here we go. James O'Brien was talking to Keir Starmer on his show and asked the Labour leader, would you actually mention Brexit in a future PMQs? I'll link the clip via Twitter in the description below, and I could have done an entire video just on the full exchange in this 4-minute clip, but I want to focus on the main event.
So Northern Ireland, trade, labour shortages, all of these things we can expect to hear the B word mentioned in the context of these problems in the coming months, can we?
Yes, James, you can. And on Northern Ireland, I've said that a number of times. I've worked in Northern Ireland, as you know, for a number of years. And I feel keenly that we need to resolve this issue of the protocol.
Now, you'll note there was a hesitation before he said yes. And it wasn't a deep intake of breath, here we go, hesitation. No, this was a cracked voice hesitation, as if saying something he would rather not have said. But, and it's a big but, not as big as mine, he said yes. If you watch the full clip, I'd recommend it. He did give very politician-like answers to various questions, neither yeses nor nos. Are political answers, sorry. As a politician, you really don't want to say yes or no, unless you really want to say yes or no. You don't do it in politics. You give the response that you want to give to the question, reframing it to suit you. Often a politician will be asked a simple yes or no question and they will give a full sentence response. I've talked about this recently in regards to the Conservatives. He could have said something like, I'll be tackling the government on the consequences of all of their policies, including the way they are delivering Brexit. That would not be confirming that he would ever use the word Brexit at all, or even hint that he was linking it with consequences. He could have said that. If James O'Brien, because he's no mug, came back with another one, but would you say Brexit? He could have come back with yet another response that very flowery and sort of hints at it, but without actually saying it. Being clear, Starmer's been Labour leader for 2 years now. He's had 2 years to sort out what to say to a whole range of Brexit questions. And he is going to be interviewed, and has been interviewed, by far less unfriendly people, I should say, than James O'Brien. James O'Brien is largely, I won't say on Keir Starmer's side, but should we say he's no fan of the current government? He would certainly rather Keir Starmer were Prime Minister. He's going to be interviewed by people who do not want Keir Starmer to be Prime Minister. So, of course, he'll have his patter worked out. He won't have been caught out here, despite the hesitation. If he said yes, it's because he actually intends to. Now, just to be clear, I don't think it's going to be a seismic shift from saying nothing about Brexit and PMQs to suddenly going, right, I've given you time. I've been quiet all this time to let you get on with it. You keep saying we should support the government. I've done that by letting you handle Brexit in your way, but you've made a right arse of it from start to finish. The roads of Kent are gridlocked and half the county smells of poo. You've knackered British exports around the world. You've humiliated us on the world stage, where important decisions have been made without the UK even being allowed to fetch the tea and biscuits. You've let P&O Ferries sack 800 British workers when they didn't dare sack even one French worker. You've failed to control our borders, so smugglers are now costing us tens of billions of pounds that you say you can't find to help ease the cost of living crisis. I've had enough. Sit down, stop talking shit, listen to me, because I'm going to tell you exactly how you can fix it. You've then got a choice. Do what needs to be done to get Britain working, or let the British public vote in someone who knows what they're doing instead of having their lives blighted by a fatuous oath. Assuming fatuous oath is not unparliamentary language, that is. I don't think he's going to do it quite like that. Let's be clear. Labour are working on a strategy to get themselves ready for an election in 2023 or 2024. We know they've got a long-term strategy on this. I remember, 2021, David Lammy saying, in fact, it might have even been end of 2020, David Lammy saying in an interview, because he was asked when you're going to start talking about Brexit, and he said they've got a long-term plan for it, that they will, and he can't wait to start talking about it. So there has been a long-term strategy. You know, they will from the start have been aiming for 2023 as a possible election date. It's now looking much more likely 2024. So it's likely that they would start to ramp things up over the course of 2022 anyway. Starmer's just told O'Brien that he will be ramping up over the coming months. Now, to my mind, he has closed off some avenues of Brexit criticism with his explicit statement on freedom of movement. It will be interesting to see where they go with it. I can't imagine we can expect it when Parliament returns later this month. I'm not going to be sat there at the first PMQs later this month after Easter going, oh, is he going to say it today? Is he going to say it today? He's not going to say it. You know, coming months can mean almost anything. Though you would imagine surely it must mean before summer. I wonder if it'll be like that scene in The Simpsons with the I didn't do it. Keir Starmer uses the word Brexit in PMQ. Everyone's watching. He said Brexit. Everyone cheers. We'll see. But also, it depends what he uses with the word. It's all right just saying Brexit. Don't say make Brexit work as your first Brexit term in PMQs, for goodness sake. But like I said, Starmer wasn't trapped into saying yes. He had any number of ways of answering the question more ambiguously. And a politician trying to get out of a question never answers yes or no. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.